Morning, everybody. I am Professor Charanjit Singh Shah from Delhi. I am the founder principal of Creative Group, and I've been practicing architecture, planning, and urban design into infrastructure for the last now more than 5 decades. And it's I started with freelance, and now it's like working as a corporate and getting to know many more things put together into how to create large mega projects. First of all, I am just making this presentation with you along with the Glass Academy in the webinar. So welcome everybody. Today we'll talk more onto the airports, and airports are the mega projects, but still I will start with my understanding that how the human settlement actually takes place, and probably in a simple humanistic style. I used to sit like on a below a tree and meditating, and no other mechanical requirement by the human being. Slowly, in the last 70 years, we started looking into how do I do technology. I started with the air cooler. Then what happened? I came across with air conditioner. And after air conditioner, when there was a lot of embodied energy involved into all these things put together, and the environment also getting, ozone layers, and I say, oh, is something which is like raping the Mother Earth, but still I am on the process. And then I started today, we say PM 2.5 as 400 and PM 10 touching 1000. And then I started looking into air purifier. And now, sadly, when I see with COVID coming in, and otherwise, perhaps with like PM 2.5, where I am a chain a smoker, 40 cigarettes a day I smoke, and now probably I am with an oxygen cylinder, with a mask on, and do you think that is this the future of the human? And I need to look upon, is this what I look upon? It's like now you are in a saloon, but distancing. How do you even cut your hair? And I do social distancing. But never mind, I just say that when we were static, we were living in harmony with nature, but now I'm constantly moving, evolving, and I'm trying to destroy the nature. I'm destroying the Mother Earth, raping the Mother Earth. I do not wish that we become static and we become, what you call it as nomadic, but I definitely say that do you think that we wish to be only robotic? So it's like from nomadic to robotic. How do you think all these things put together? And particularly when I talk about creating large mega projects, that too like airports or railway stations or metro stations, intermodal hubs, all that coming together. And where what I see is that I create a global facility where I have panoramic view, I have large span structure. I say, oh, it should be dynamic, iconic. All these things come together, creating a panoramic view, a delight, and creating dynamism in architecture. But perhaps all that needs to be seen that when I talk about mega project, they need to be interwoven with sustainability. Generally it is the perception that airports are energy guzzlers. How do you see that energy is conserved, energy is produced in these large mega projects? So now I will just briefly go through the various projects like Chennai Airport, a large global design competition. It's like making about 2 million square meter of covered area. It's like making large international domestic terminal buildings, won over the global competition, doing all that. How to create sustainable architecture? Perhaps that has to be seen. Sustainable, smart, dynamic architecture. So we look upon, like I say, in Chennai, there's one international airport. You know, I we were doing a Chennai airport. On the left-hand side, perhaps you see the international airport. On the right-hand side, you see the domestic airport. In the middle, this white and blue skyline, which you see is the metro station. And this airport, brownfield airport development in Chennai, is like abutting on the main road. And it's like, making something where there is no space and you try to dig in space. And the structure is perhaps based on, you see this banyan tree, nature, interwovenness, how to create this such one large tree, banyan tree in Calcutta, in 4 acres of land, and it is lasting for the last 200 odd years. So now, if I see this, then, I get inspired from a bird, and from a bird, like Wright brothers got an effect, and they said, okay, from wings of the bird, an aircraft came. We said, let's see that I also create a terminal building, which is from wings of the bird. This is what perhaps we started, bird, wings, conceptualizing, shaping out the building, making a form like this. And then I say, oh, this is perhaps the structure of an airport, taking form into consideration, insertion of functionality into the form is like complementing the form and the function put together. And I create the dynamism in architecture inspired from the nature, wings of the bird. So this is what. Now I'm just briefing out, can all these dynamism can be achieved by way of passive strategies of green architecture, where I say I conserve energy, I produce my own water, I do zero liquid waste management. It's like creating net zero building. So it's like on the left, you see passive strategies. On the right, you see the active strategies. Left is passive in terms of architects, planners, perception, and it is the dynamism of design which can perhaps make it feel a presence in terms of making it, less of energy consumption. That how do you shape and size of the building? How do you orient the building? How do you see the oscillation of the sun in terms of, like in a hot and dry climate, I say, okay, I preserve. I see that the heated, glared west sun do not penetrate into my building. I see north light coming into my building. I see the shaded south comes into my building. I use all conduction, convection, radiation into the building. And I do, and then also then I see the envelope of the building is with materials which are like insulated materials, autoclave blocks, double glass, double insulating roofing system, then minimizing heat gain into the building, maximizing daylight, and doing all these innovations, technology, perhaps in my mind is to create sustainability beside the active ways of water conservation and other things put together. So now these are various things. Now what happens when we start looking into all these put together? I say, okay, this is the basic diagram of an airport planning where 3 functions are there predominantly strong. One is the check-in front, then you squeeze out, which is the security zone, security check. And then I have the hold area where I hold on. Then I go from the aero bridge otherwise to the air side and just exit. So this is basically the framework. And I take it like this, that can I start looking at the same parameters of my functionality, putting into a shape of a building which is becoming like H shape, where my north and south surfaces are getting increased, and instead of 4, I'm getting another 6 spaces from where I can get north and south light. And inner is the central spine, and I do this, then I go here and I I play with this. So this is how the evolution of the form with the function, I started playing with it and I see the solar movement. It's like placed into north and south. North is the air side, south is the city side, which has a cantilever of 24 meters to cut the south and southwest sun. And this is the oscillation of the sun. And these are the green areas in between, which gives me practically the places from where I get north and shaded south light. So this is how the movement is. And this is what I would rather call, this is a section. How do you do that? How do you create sustainability in an airport? You see there's sun, south, southwest, cutting the sun, a large cantilever 24 meters, and then the sun rays are there, but they are protected, and I get glare free light inside my terminal. So my terminal is already absolutely lit up. I do not need any artificial light till 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the evening, and I am not consuming energy. Even from outside, I do some multi-level car park, and outside the roof of the car park is again green surface. So what happens, even the radiating heat from the peripheral will not go inside the building. So these are certain parameters which needs to be addressed when I talk about airport planning. And this is what you see that this airport, Chennai airport, is something fascinated with the technology. Its largest cantilever of 80 feet, 25, 24 meters, which is coming out and which is practically cutting the south and southwest sun. And on my glazing, I do not get any practically layered sun, and this is how I reduce the energy. And this is what happens. All these large, when you talk about large span structures in airport, how do you do all this? Technology plays a very vital role. We were the first one to bring 508, half a meter pipe, 16 thick, hot bend here in India. And perhaps these are certain things, the technology, which can give me a result where I get panoramic view. All these put together is practically column-free structures, which can really give me so much a pleasure and a pride when technology gives me these type of free hands. And this is what actually, you see how the pipes were bent. I'm just going through skipping over how all these things are practically done. You see this, the last span. I will touch upon. This is the glass tube. And perhaps you see these vertical gardens in the inner spine in the courtyard. We created these vertical gardens which have all creepers grown up, and they also are actually moving along with the wind, absolutely giving me a natural phenomena. As every 3 meters, I have a good earth, and I can even chop off, I can go up. It has all is automation and water, other things put together, and they become a feature in my, this is how you see these, and then the glass tube. So I just want to impress upon how in these large projects you create these type of expressions of architecture, and this is how the glass tube works. This is glass tube you look upon. This is a night shot. And I probably see the expression at night and how all this architecture can give me a pleasing effect when you come into the arrival tube. See this? I am now trying to showcase you that, these are the flyovers which generally we make. But what happens, when I have to really go into technology and I have to multi-layering my structure, and I use absolute thinnest 400 thick flyover thickness, where then I dig in more areas below the flyover, which is at 12 meter height, and I do this. Just see this. This is how V-shaped columns, then beam, then these are the, just about 400 waffles, which are layered, and in between these V columns, I insert another layer, which is like creating a glass tube as a walkable tube to connect my international to domestic to metro station to other places, so that I am away from the ground and I am segregating my passenger from the traffic. So this is how you see the vocabulary of architecture, all these, maybe in RCC V column, then I talk about V column in steel. All this is like innovation of architecture through engineering innovative ideas. And that ability of a V column in RCC or in the steel, it becomes an architectural component. I start growing from there. This is how you see the columns, and then I insert a tube in between and I go like this. This is how, the glass tube gets made, and it connects with 40 vocaliators for a distance of between domestic and international terminal of 1.2 meters. So this is how then use of all these material, why I'm just trying to showcase you is just see this. This is my multi-level car park. If you see the section, it has cutouts, and the light, natural light penetrates into my third basement. So I get all light. It's sustainable. No mechanical ventilation. So all these are the byproduct of the physical planning, where I do sustainable architecture in a passive way, but not in an active way. So if I do all this put together, you see how natural, this is how it would be looking like when it is finished. This is what it is, the whole thing finished. And you see that this dynamism of organic architecture, where there's no false ceiling, everything is exposed, but there's no echo. Perhaps you need to see how the public address system works. So all these are multiple factors of understanding of various elements of applied architecture. That's how Best Infrastructure Project Year Award by Unitech Award 2012 and all many more other awards have been given to this as one of the greenest airport. And I will now showcase you how the intermodality works, from international to domestic to metro to the highway to the railway station. See this, how all this started functioning, and then realizing all this put together. You see from metro station to the terminal, the whole thing moves like this. Then you see the movement of people, and this is the metro station. Then now we'll come to this. I'm just expressing upon the airport, the large airport projects, how it has to achieve the sustainability. Similar attempt we try to do in Raipur. The new trends of airport design in India, which we're looking for, any built form should not be treated as a mass of brick and concrete, but as a living organism which breathes and is embodied with nature. Architecture of today needs to be global in terms of technology, but should have a sense of belongingness, ownership to the place and people, penetrating through the great heritage of India. Bhubaneswar and Puri, the twin cities, architecture inspired from the Lord Jagannath chariot, transforming into the modern new trendsetters of aviation architecture. Adaptation of temple architecture in terms of corbelling, arches, domes, motifs, jalis, sundials, showcasing and complementing heritage with contemporary architecture. Varanasi, the spiritual gateway to India, inspired from the skyscape of temple architecture, the ghats on the river Ganges, the arati, along with the craftsmanship of high profile silk saris and carpets, are the great symbolism and cultural bind of the holy city of Varanasi. The holistic, rhythmic, repetitive, triangulation, and evolution of the form of the 22nd century of airport terminal in India, and the symbolism of dynamism and technology in the airport planet. As has been visioned and invented through the Wright brothers, inspired from the bird and created history, giving birth to aviation. Chennai Airport is proudly conceived on the concept of wings of the bird and creating Indian sustainable smart airport looking beyond imagination. Airport as mostly treated as energy guzzlers, but proudly to say that Chennai Airport, the new thoughts towards passive strategies of green architecture, has internationally being acclaimed as one of the greenest airport in Asia Pacific. The technology in terms of largest cantilever, precast concrete flyover, adaptation of innovation, methodology of construction in the brownfield airports, perhaps is a trendsetter in Indian aviation development. This is Raipur, one of the greenest airport. This won the 4 times consecutively the greenest airport by Ministry of Government Tourism and award. And perhaps the story in this is quite fascinating. And you see that it's a very complex roofing system with a double curve roofing. And the second is what I say is the green element. You see the food court outside, and the complete city side is all green. And this is how perhaps various other elements of like a tree column and all these have been utilized. And This is the layout and terminal building with all the car park, green areas, creating a pond. We preserve our own water, creating our own STP, and it's like recycling everything put together. And we can probably say that this is one of the net zero, airport. And this is the planning. And how do you see this all? This is the plan, how the movement is, how the egress routes are there, how the passenger flow is there, and perhaps you look upon the structure elements. This is the skylight, how the skylight is, and various other elements of gutter detailing. And, this is one of the airports where we did a lot of innovation. Generally what happens that the roofing is double skin roofing, but the gutters are only a sheet gutter. So when the condensation takes place, and in the gutter, if the water falls with condensation, the drop comes down and we say the roof is leaking. So perhaps we have also gone into this and created a double layer gutter, which is also insulated so that nothing happens with the condensation of the gutter itself also. This is how the complexity of structure is, from a tree column to various layered, how the double curve system has been worked. And perhaps you see all this, and this is the complete wire diagram of the roofing system. And mind it, every piece of the roof has been measured from the AutoCAD drawing, the beam drawing. So this is how today's technology can give me any dynamism, which is absolutely impossible, but I would say it can be possible in today's ways of doing things put together in the faster manner. So this is how all these things have been done. And even we conserve our water, we produce our energy. All these are practically part and parcel of any of the airport projects which we are doing to create that sort of sustainability where I produce my water. I do not allow my stormwater to go away from my place. So I produce and store it here and use for whole of the year. And that is how for my landscaping, for my, various other things, HVAC, for my gardening purposes, for my flushing system, all this can be achieved. This is the dynamism, how you see this, how the ticketing counter, this is how it was there, and this is how it perhaps is finished. The dynamism of various things put together, use of material, see the glass, see the tree column, see the shaded canopy, and I get the diffuse light into my airport. And when it was inaugurated by the President of India, no light was on, and it was inaugurated at 6:30 in the evening. And that is how the sustainable architects, this is the air side. And you see all this put together. How do you address the airside corridor into various lured system so that I do not get any glared sun into the building? So this is how I'm just showcasing you how the interior works, And here, what you see is the coffee shop is practically near to the landscape. Absolutely, but you see this Bastar art, And once you are in the coffee shop, you are with the nature, and you probably see all this put together. How do you create the inside spaces? Connect with the nature, connect with the local art, local flavor. So once you come in, as soon as you see the Bastar art, you say, oh, I am near Bastar, I am in Raipur, I am in Chhattisgarh. So this is how trends of architecture, perhaps belongingness to a place and the people can give me. See the child playing with various things put together. So it's like creating a natural, aspired architecture, inspired architecture, and this is how it looks, all this. Now see this is all exterior, the lighting works, the various other, the uplighters, downlighters, the candle. It's like, you play with all elements integrated and create that sort of an architecture, which is called as holistic architecture. All this. This is like, I am just showcasing you the various phenomena of the retail outside is like coffee shop retail, and this is how it looks. Various other things, food court from outside, and you are sitting outside the terminal building also with the nature. So nature plays a predominantly very strong role in creating this is the type of architecture. Now see the night shot. How fascinating, how dynamic, how you can light, it's lighting the architecture, what you create, you lit it up in such a manner that it's so eye-catching and so appealing. Now, this is what perhaps I would now talk about the another airport, Vadodara Airport, which is also gold accredited, GREA accredited airport, which is absolutely like an affordable airport. You see the shape by itself you will speak of, and probably you will look upon various things put together. Now, this is what I wish to impress upon. You see, the solid mass is on the east and west, and the front is like south and north. So this is south, the glazing is inside, so protecting the southwest, and below also. So it's like protecting the southwest sun. Then no window on the west and east, so that the hard sun is protected. And these are insulating walls which are there on both the sides, west and this thing. So basically it is like maximizing daylight, minimizing heat gain. Overhang on the south completely shades the panoramic glass curtain walls, and then the roof is heavily insulated to minimize the heat gain. And this is how perhaps the section lobes, they're all solid on the both the side, and this is the cantilever, and your glare-free light is coming from north and south. So this is how the architecture has to be understandable. It needs to be passive. It needs to know the solar movement. This is how it works from inside. See this. So now this is the finished airport, and mind it, there is no false ceiling here as well. But you take, as an architect, you can fundamentally analyze various things and see that there is no echo. It has to be, the PA, public address system, has to work. So all these volumes needs elements of applied architecture to be very sensitizing them, put together in a very integrated manner. That has to be done. Now see this, why I'm showing this energy efficient system. This is conforming to Energy Conservation Building Code, GREA rating compliance, gold star. All this is there. Then I say, yes, I'm able to achieve 60% of my saving energy by way of physical planning and by way of active participation. This is, now I'm just going through another airport. Yeah, these are the existing photographs of Agartala Airport. It's just at a 80-90% finishing stage, and this is what we actually thought. Simplistic dynamism, absolutely a simplistic phrase. And you see on the facade, we given like a landscape, a tree, giving sort of bamboo architecture, green architecture. How do you create that? So that is what we created in Agartala. And all these motifs are, from the state of Agartala, and all this has been done with bamboo architecture. And now this is what we have already shown you, the Bhubaneswar Airport. All motifs have been taken into consideration, the Konark wheel, the corbelling, the motifs, all that has been very sensitizing architecture, It's like now I'm engulfing my heritage into the contemporary way of understanding various elements, how our ancestors used to work, what are the basic features, so that we started put together. Now see this, all Jagannath, Jagannath Baba. It's all, you see, fascinating. Once I'm at the airport, I feel, I have reached where? I've reached Puri, Jagannath chariot, and I'm pulling the chariot, and your emotions come. And once the emotions come, it means you're putting soul into architecture, and your build form is not a mass of brick and concrete, but it's a living organism which breathes, which is embodied with nature. And perhaps that is the life of architecture, and it is not a dead mass. So that is how, even Varanasi, you see all this put together, all this architecture. Now, perhaps you see this. See this. The Sanskrit shlokas, and this boat-like is the boats in the ghat, and the Sanskrit shlokas are written, and you again see on top the ceiling has the silk sari pattern, the carpet pattern. It's like putting conceptualize various elements of the city into various forms of architecture. So once I go there, "Ore yaar, Varanasi mein to mera Bhagwan bol raha hai." It's that emotions you need to put in. This is Rajkot again, a new, absolutely a greenfield airport. We did airport at Gabon, in Africa, putting that sort of, because somewhere down the line, we need to see it has to be only contemporary architecture. This is a greenfield airport, all elements from runway to terminal building to everything we did. And this is another airport, Belgrade Airport in Europe, where we enhanced, we modified the brown to green, but brownfield to the capacity building airport, and this is what we are doing in Belgrade. So I'll just touch upon the new trends in architecture in terms of the greenfield airports. We at Creative Group here with 50 years of legacy of architecture, we are now like A to Z in architecture. We do airside, city side, land side, everything put together, even understanding the air traffic from airspace to air conflict to runway design to airport runway lighting, Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, everything. Techno-economical feasibility studies. These are in Telangana state, we're doing 6 airports. Doing all this, just I'm showcasing around Hyderabad, you have all these new airports, Warangal Airport, understanding everything put together, how the airport will function, how the catchment area comes, how do you break up these projects, I'm just showcasing you this to understand various elements like, I'm just showcasing you how the runway works, how the city side works, how the land side works, and how the terminal works, how the various stages of understanding of the air traffic expansion program, so that whatever we design today should last for at least 50 odd years, and expansion mode can be done in our infrastructure project. So I'd say the sky is the limit for an architecture planner to understand, particularly in aviation, not limit yourself only to the airport like a terminal planning, but also look upon the various elements of a complete integrated airport design planning, where I talk about the direction of runway, the wind, the meteorological system, the ATC tower, the equipment, all these things put together is like putting everything under one roof. I know the various sizes, how an ATR will come, how a A320 can come, how a Boeing, and all these various aircrafts systems, how the practically navigating system works. These are other technical aspects which we talk about. And this is again, you see this various expansion modes of the airport, looking into even the social impact, how many people are going to be affected, how the social impact assessment is done, then how the environment is getting affected by the acquisition. It's like anything which is man-made will have some sort of a effect on the Mother Earth. So it's like mitigating that effect on the Mother Earth. It's not that we just build, and all this building means it is consuming energy, and consuming energy means we are using embodied energy. But embodied energy means coal, maybe petroleum, maybe anything put together. An architect has to see the local materials, the feasibility of understanding that the materials which you use are also sustainable. How do you do that? So these are certain fundamental things which you talk about. Warangal Airport, financial analysis, return on money. Now this is another airport in the influence of the airport zone. No, we talk about the complete site conditions. Then we talk about various things put together. How from Hyderabad these new airports are going to come into the state of Andhra. This is how it practically works. You see the complete master plan looking into various angles, the runway, the taxiway, the apron, the terminal building, the city side, the mixed use, the like aero cities, all fundamentally is like how do you earn practically the IIR, return on money, how the feasibility of all these elements are put together into these infrastructure projects beside the basic principles of planning. Planning is just circulation. Rest is how the integrated approach towards the large developmental work needs to be understood. So this is how another airport, we studied all this put together. You understand the various catchment areas, you do all this put together. Again, this, funnel effect and how the runway works. Now, this is, you see, the airport side, how the whole site has to be maneuvered and how the runway has to be designed, how the city side has to be designed. And it's a mix of brown and green field, what are the various more areas which if we add into and now see, this is a hill terrain, You see the hillocks on both the sides and then the forest. So how this can give me a space where I can get the air tunnel effect. Can the flight be, the landing is possible in this hillock or it is accidental proof. So many things come together and not one. So these are again another airport which we are doing in Andhra, where all these things are again understood in terms of various things, in terms of the air traffic. Again, see this, expressing upon various other things put together. I am just narrating this because the architects, the planners do understand that it is not a segmented architecture in today. It is a holistic architecture. It's like from whole to part or part to whole. So like if you are looking into the whole, you get an opportunity to work on a large projects from a virgin time to creating first proposition of the land, how much land is required, how do you do the feasibility and pre-feasibility studies in various aspects, It is something where you are baking the project, Ambitious projects are baked from the very initial stage of understanding. Any architect planner would look into all the terrain, the topography, the orientation, the various soil conditions, all that has to be looked into in the airport planning. So this is how all this, the capex, all things have worked. And probably I would conclude my presentation by saying that let us see that maybe it is a mega project like an airport or a small project like a house. We need to see that we create architect where it's a way forward beyond net zero. I create something where I produce my own water, my own energy, and I do practically zero liquid waste management in my project, and I don't need to borrow anything from outside. No practically need, I don't practically import anything, and I'm sustainable. And that is called the use of technology in a manner where it is integrated, and the design process thought is creating sustainable habitat is look forward beyond net zero. And lastly, but what is actually I always say upon is, please let us see that we look upon nature, and nature is life. Life is nature. Let's try to win over and see nature, eat nature, drink nature, breathe nature, vibrate with nature, dance with nature, be romantic with nature. It's like your romance with nature. It's like, what we sometimes say that, in Gurbani, in Guru Nanak's verses, we say that, कि Mother Earth, जो है ना, Pavan Guru, Pani Pita, Mata Dharth Mahat. It's like these three things. Pavan is my guru, and Mata Dharti is my mother, and Pavan Guru, Pani Pita, and water is my father. These are the three things. If I start respecting them and not worshipping them, there is difference between rituality and spirituality. I need to worship water. I need to worship my mother earth, and I need to see that I worship my air. Then my earth will not get raped away. My air will not have that sort of a pollution, and neither the water. गंगा मैली हो गई, गंगा भी मैली नहीं होगी अगर मैं उसको साफ रखूंगा. Let's see that the earth belongs to us and we are a small component. और जब मैं ये सोचूंगा कि मेरे लिए धरती बनी है, मैं धरती को खराब नहीं करूंगा. Let us see that we really, with my action, I start worshipping the Mother Earth, and that is creating a sustainable architecture which belongs to the people and the place, and I become, it's like romanticism of architecture will birth to the new architectural trends, and which is like soul in architecture. My architecture should breathe, and the architect is like a father or a mother, and any product of an architect is like you're making the motherhood, and your motherhood. A motherhood produces a child after 9 months of hard work, and then she feels proud. Oh, he or she is my child, and she has the belongingness to the child. And similarly, an architect with a hard work of a design and a holistic approach towards of understanding of everything. मैंने खाना क्या, मैंने करना क्या, मेरा लाइफ कैसा हो कि मैं अपने बच्चों को संस्कार अच्छे दे दूं. He should be the most intelligent and the most beautiful person around the globe. So that is how every product of an architect has to have the rhythm of the environment and the nature, where I feel proud to be a proud father of any of the creation. And I say, yes, I am the creator of this building, and I live within my own creation. Can I see that once any architect or planner really feel proud to be a creator, and then say he is part of his creation and I love his creation. So I will just conclude, let's see that whatever we do, I start adoring it. I start loving it. I be romantic with my work. And once I am romantic, I work 24/7. I am proud of.
Hello, Mr. Sharma.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can we start?
What about?
Can we start? Professor Charanjit is here with us.
Hello. Yeah. Tell me, sir. No. No, the speaker is online.
Yes, he's here.
Yeah. I connect with online. One second.
Yes.
Hello, Professor Charanjit. We will start in 3 minutes. Is that fine?
Okay.
Hello. Yeah, one second. Okay,
उनका देखना कचार कहा जाए
Okay,
उसको बुला लेना दीपक उनको.
Sir, you can go ahead, sir.
Okay.
We are connecting with you on live.
Okay, sure. Can I start speaking?
Yeah. Start.
Okay. So today is National Civil Aviation Day. We couldn't have asked for anyone better but the King of Airport himself, Professor Charanjit Singh Shah, for being the speaker for our session. Thank you, sir, for being here. Airport as a typology tends to be so backed by adjectives like dynamic, iconic, and monumental that the importance of sustainability is often sidelined in mega infrastructure projects. So my first question for you, sir, is that from form to intent, from technology to strategy, your design is driven by, for, and of nature. So from your own experience, what made you decide that sustainability will be a key driving point for your design?
Okay. It's a way, I would just take it other way around. That, you start looking at nature and the complexity of nature, the creation, the creator and the creation.
Yes.
So we generally say that God is the creator and he has created this universe. And if probably another thing comes in, that where does the God live? And we say that God lives within his own creation. So this is phenomenally what is important when you are an architect as a mini God. You need to create a building. You need to see that what is the type of typology of architecture you wish to create, where you also wish to decide. And where wish to decide, you will create something which is exemplary. And now when it comes to the context of large mega projects like big airports or other infrastructure, buildings or anything of that nature, which you call, they cannot be sustainable. They are like energy guzzlers. So there the concept of understanding the sustainability in terms of the passive ways of architecture. That is how you place a building, how you practically, it's like you understand the oscillation of sun, the solar movement, everything put together, maximizing daylight and minimizing heat gain. All these are some of the products which needs to be understood, and architecture cannot be looked into isolation. So fundamentally all elements of applied architecture are to be looked into while you are in the process of design. And once you do that, you create a sustainable architecture where you conserve your energy, you conserve your water, you see that the solid-waste management is also being well protected, and you get zero liquid waste, and we call it as net zero buildings. So all these are practically a journey of understanding various things, and not that I just look upon a form and forget about the function. So it's like form and the function needs to complement each other. So this is what is required. It's your holistic knowledge of understanding of various elements of applied architecture put together to create a holistic architecture. And once you create a holistic architecture, it ought to be sustainable. Okay?
Yes, sir. And I feel your presentation and especially your work, it kind of underlines the impact mega infrastructure projects can have on its surroundings, and how it's very important to be conscious of our nature. So we have students with us who will be starting their thesis on airports, and often many struggle with the question of where and how to start. So like when you're designing an airport, how do you decide these X, Y, Z strategies need to be put in place, or these will not be put in place?
Anything what you want to do, you need to be informed. It's your holistic study, case studies, understanding of the various requirements put together. Unless and until you know the various constituents of a dish, you cannot be a good chef. Similarly, as an architect, before start of making a dish or a building, I need to understand the various things which needs to be put together. That is applied sciences. So it's a cohesive understanding from where you start in, and it is a process, but it is not something that you just dream out a shape. It could be a shape which can be dreamed out, but it has to complement the functionality. So it's like complementing and supplementing the functionality into the conceived form can also be an interface. But it has to move around, one step going ahead, two steps going back, and understanding both the things put together, then creating that sort of architecture which has the best of the form and best of the function. It is like conceiving a child, and how do you conceive a child in your motherhood? I think mother knows the best. So she will take care about all the precautions, everything put together, and she will not do anything which is wrong where the inbuilt process is damaged during the process of think tank. Okay?
Yeah, so that example actually made me think a lot. The example of a mother giving the birth and how she knows the best. So often and not, there's this conversation that happens with passive and active strategies. They restrict the possibility of a more dynamic form. Like you can't play with form a lot because you have so many constraints. So like have you ever felt that with your own experience?
No. You can, dynamism could be complex dynamism. Dynamism can be simplistic dynamism. Sometimes one line can speak many things, and sometimes million lines cannot speak anything. So it's like how precise and how intelligently you draw a shape. The complexity is not that you make a complex building. It has to be understood that the complexity is something which is in your nerve, which is in your mind. Perhaps everything can be made complex, but everything cannot be made simple. Yes. So it is like you need to understand that sometimes we are ourselves trapped into a shape which may not be suitable for an airport, but which may be suitable for a club, which may be suitable for something else. So it needs to see that what is the shape or a size which is defined for a particular functionality, So that functionality has to interface with the form, and then only the complexity will come. So these are certain parameters in which one has to look upon and do not come into any conclusion. All your confusions need to be removed during the process journey of a design. One by one, the clarity will come, and then you practically, with your confused mind, you start looking into the conclusive mind. So you need to be very conclusive and calculative in your decisions. Decisions are to be argumentative. Decisions are to be logical. And nothing will be which is illogical can be a cosmetic architecture, but not an organic architecture. Yes.
So I think along those lines only, you mentioned about how we need to find good reasoning for the form that is putting it out there. Like form itself is subjective. Like different people will like different forms. So as a designer and as an architect, how do you create that fine balance of designing something that the people will like and designing something that you will personally like? That fine balance. No,
I think if your architecture speaks of nature, then everybody will like everything. It's like, can I ask you one thing?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Do you dislike any natural thing?
Maybe snake. Like snake scare me.
Maybe?
Snake, sound.
Snake?
Yeah.
Because, I'll tell you again.
Yeah.
These are fundamental confusions of mind. But in case you see the parameters and the constitution of a snake, you may start loving it. There are certain assumptions and perceptions of mind which are created from the motherhood, from my childhood. A person who lives in jungle, perhaps he may love a snake, but I do not love in jungle, and I am away from nature. That's why I started looking many things which are natural, but I say no, I don't like it. Today you do not like to open up your window. You say, oh, it's something which is not a good air outside, but inside I have a air purifier. I am sitting in an indoor space where I have an air purifier. So you have customized yourself and you put your own air purifier and you start hating the nature outside because that nature has also been spoiled by you where PM 2.5 is 400 and I am a passive smoker and there is a lot of dust coming inside. So these are fundamentally the human behavior and mankind's mindset which is playing a adverse role sometimes. So we need to understand, analyze every bit of nature. And that is the balancing of nature is what is required to be understood. You have to study nature before commenting on nature. So that is what is required. So architecture is perhaps I need to penetrate into nature more often. Though I have eyes, but I am blind with my eyes. I cannot see the true nature. I am seeing the cosmetic nature. Today I am talking about astroturf. I am talking about artificial grass. I am talking about artificial plants. But I say, oh, it's nature. Is it nature?
No.
Then, so this is what we as an architect need to understand. I am not into cosmetic nature. I am into organic nature. How can you see that your built form start growing from the nature? It is embodied with nature. It is engulfed with nature. That is what, when my inside-outside space, both will be absolutely natural. That's why all great inspired buildings are taken from nature. You know, even I would say airport, particularly the Wright brothers, from where they learned the aircraft. They learned from the bird and how the bird flies, the wings of the bird. And they could create an aircraft. So anything, whatever we need to see is only from nature, and whatever we are doing, it's all I am inspired by nature. But the only thing is how we address the real natural nature to cosmetic nature. Yes.
Yes, sir. I actually, you give me a lot to think about because we're also living in a time where we need to respond to nature more effectively, and cosmetic solutions will not take us so far. So we basically ask learners to send in questions regarding airport design. The first question is by Vinay and Rashmi. What is the most challenging part of designing an airport?
It's the process. Challenge is the process. There's no shortcut. You need to address to the process. And that is what is required. Process is knowledge. Process is understanding. Process is an interface between the various acts. It's like various elements of applied architecture. Process is structure. Process is aesthetics, function, form, put together with services, integrating everything put together. And then, because it's a very, very large project. It has many interfaces. One has to be very sensitive towards the various services. What are the various egress rules? How the firefighting system works? How the simplistic dynamism of passenger flow, the baggage flow, the security, the surgical areas, non-surgical areas, public areas, retail. There are and many more other things which come. The commercial, the retail, the return on money. It's not today. It is a challenge that whatever you create, it has to be financially viable. How do you create all these things put together? That's a big challenge. And it has to be the most dynamic structure on this earth, and where people say, I come to a beautiful place. So that is what architecture is. So my intake to the students is that don't play in absolutely shortcuts. Be holistic, be understandable, see the various works, case studies, analyze them from various issues, spark out It's like SWOT diagram, weaknesses, strong points, other things put together. When you understand all these things put together, then only you will be able to create a holistic architecture.
Hmm. So the next question is by Stephen. He asks, can you name the architects that have inspired you and why?
You know, I would say that I was born in an age of Lee Corbusier, and I could see Chandigarh. I could see Jacob Ellenstein. Most inspired personality whose works I always admired is Joseph Ellenstein. When I see India Habitat Center, India International Center, I see every day new detail there. Then I go there. It's like it's a temple of virtue for me. I am a fan of Stein, and I look upon every detail. That is how precisely the details are framed out. So architecture is perhaps not a form which only counts. It is the detail which matters, and that is the process. And start penetrating into various projects. I am a fan of Joseph Ellenstein.
My grandparents also live in Chandigarh, and whenever I used to go there, we always used to go to Sector 1 and just look at the buildings that the Corbusier had made. It's so simple and yet it's so complex, and that's the beauty of it. So the last and the next question is by Sandhya. She is fascinated by the wafer-thin flyover that is used in Chennai International Airport to connect the international and domestic terminals. So she asked, what was the idea behind it? Like, how was it conceptualized?
When we're doing this, why vessel-thick flyovers? We wanted to reduce. See, there are certain limitation of heights and other things. The flyover is coming at 12 meters. And there, particularly in Chennai, there were hardly any space on the city side. The airport is abutting on the main road, the highway. And we wanted to get another layer between the flyover. So that is how we even created those V columns. And its thinnest vessel thing is 400 whereas generally with a span of 14 meters, it is about 1 meter. So we created these steel-cored, hollow beams, thinnest beams, which is probably the technology which we brought from US, and our consultant is also from US, Amman Whitney. They gave us the solution to us, and we could get minimizing our beam depth and creating a space below as a layer which can connect the international to domestic terminal with a glass corridor, and which has about 40 walk-kilometers, because one terminal to another terminal is about 1.2 kilometers. And then we need to connect also this with the metro station to the railway station. So this is the first airport where 4 modes of transport are connected, and first intermodal hub in India, which was created that time. Next, please.
Yes, so I hope that answered your question, Sandhya. Thank you so much, Professor Charanjit, for taking the time from us.
Okay, dear. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So our last and final session of this year will be with architect Vineet Khanna on December 21st. Another presentation on metro. Do tune in. Thank you again, Professor Charanjit, and thank you everyone for joining. Have a great evening.
சொல்கிறா முடிஞ்சிச்சா? ஹலோ ஹலோ முடிஞ்சிச்சா? இல்லை அவர் நம்பர் கட்டாக இருக்கு. சரி ஓகேடா, டன் பார்த்துக்கோ. நான் கட் பண்ணிட்டேன். டன் டன்.